Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
I am Dr. Richard Bogan. I am the principal of Bogan Sleep Consultants, LLC, here in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm trained in pulmonary medicine and critical care medicine, currently practice sleep medicine.
So tell us about your site and what type of research you conduct.
Yeah, at our site, we have a clinical site and a research site. We have 6 practitioners, and we see about 400 patients a week, have a 9-bed lab where when we have enough sleep techs, we do about 150, close to 200 sleep studies a month. We also do clinical research, and clinical research is involved in areas such as narcolepsy and, of course, insomnia and obstructive sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, idiopathic hypersomnia, and device studies as well.
What kind of experience do you have in narcolepsy research?
Our site was one of the first sites to enroll a narcolepsy patient in one of the original modafinil trials in 1994. So I think we have vast experience. We've worked on almost every drug that has been released, including oxybate therapy and the various wakefulness promoting medications as well as stimulant therapies. So we have studied almost all of those drugs over the years in narcolepsy.
What makes your research center unique?
We see a lot of patients. We have about 20,000 patients that we see, follow over a period of time. Therefore, we have a large database, and so we are a clinical site as well as a research site. And as a result, we have a lot of clinical experience and database from which we can draw patients. And of course, we have patients referred from other sites as well that we obviously utilize those subjects in our clinical research.
Why are you interested in narcolepsy and narcolepsy research?
We take care of sleepy people and also people who can't sleep. And when you think about primary care physicians referring sleepy people to us, 30% of their patients are sleepy, 30% can't sleep, and over half are tired, and 20 to 40% snore. So it's a whole lot of snoring, tired people, and that's what we do. We treat patients. We try to decide what the underlying pathology is, are they at medical risk, and then what can we do to make them feel better. And I think narcolepsy is a window into sleep-wake processes. When we have these individuals who are pretty profoundly sleepy, and it's sort of the extreme of sleepiness to some extent, and we understand sort of what causes that sleepiness and how does it impact sleep-wake processes, I think narcolepsy patients are a really amazing window into sleep-wake processes.
How do you typically reach out to individuals interested in participating in a study?
Yeah, when we are pursuing subjects to participate in a clinical trial, one thing that I think that's been very useful for us is when our patients come in, we really teach them about sleep-wake processes. What's the pathophysiology? How can we address therapeutic intervention, both behavioral as well as medications, what kind of current research they were doing. And so our patients are very knowledgeable, and they talk to other subjects or potential subjects. We also do a Zoomcast, which has actually been very popular. It's we send out a blast email to all of our patients, not just the narcolepsy patients, but anyone who's sleepy, to join us for a kind of a generic discussion of sleep-wake processes. Why are patients sleepy? Patients are sleepy for a lot of different reasons, and whether it's insufficient sleep or sleep is being fragmented or the quality of the sleep is not adequate, or do they have a central abnormality such as narcolepsy that makes the brain sleepy. But we do a Zoomcast to talk about that in generic terms and sometimes in very specific terms, in terms of what is the current medication, what does it do, what are the potential adverse events associated, side effects associated with it, and therefore in the current studies that we're doing. That's been very popular.
Do you work with local advocacy groups when conducting a clinical trial?
Do we work with advocacy groups? Most of ours are on social media, quite frankly. I think most patients have reached out to social media, and there are a number of different organizations that are out there. They're in the digital world, they're readily available at almost at any time. And that really has been our major process rather than a local support group. Nothing wrong with a local support group, but it seems as though the patients at our site at least prefer that. So they reach out to a number of nice social sites, Project Sleep and Narcolepsy Network and Hypersomnia Foundation. All of those are important, and that's just some of them. And of course, I think they look to the narcolepsyproject.com is another good way. They can just Google narcolepsy and be directed to these different social media sites. I always encourage our subjects to go to established, well-known sites so that they don't get sort of sucked into a hole of chatting with someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. So,
what should a patient expect at your facility when participating in a sleep study?
Yeah, so what should the patient expect? Typically, many of the subjects and patients are ours. So in the care process, we are, again, reviewing pathophysiology and treatment options and some of the evolving science and why that science has evolved to where it is. So the patients have a keen understanding already about what's going on. But the initial is we introduce the evolving science. What are the new compounds? What are the new molecules that we're studying? And what are the potential side effects? If the patient is interested, then we will supply an informed consent, explain to them what the informed consent is. They take it home and study it. And then if they decide to enroll in the study, the patient comes back. We go over the informed consent again, answer any questions. And once they sign the informed consent with the intent to participate, then we begin a screening process, which is a detailed physical exam and laboratory data, as well as we might get some baseline sleep studies to see how sleepy they are objectively. Not all studies require that, but we'll give the required amount of information. All of that's in the informed consent, so they know what to expect. And in the informed consent is a timeline of all of the things that are required. So the patients are really knowledgeable about the study design and the expectations.
What are participants at your site saying about their experience?
People are telling us about their participation in research. They understand that as a research site, we're basically guaranteeing their safety. We explain to them what the study is, what the question is, what is the medication or device or whatever we're using in that particular study, and what are the potential risks involved. And so it's really a contract between us and the patient, or the subject if you're talking about research. But it's really a contract with us and the patient to proceed. I think the patients, when they dig into the science in their terms and they understand what we're trying to figure out and what we can do to help them, they really are very interested in participating in the study.
Is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
I think that I would say that current clinical research is safe, and that's our big thing. We want to make sure that the research is safe for our subjects and our patients. Therefore, there's a big emphasis on the informed consent process and the understanding of the study design. I think all of those are really important. And then finally, if we didn't have individuals who volunteered for this, then we would have clinical research. We wouldn't have new medicines. So this is an excellent opportunity to form a partnership between the patient and the scientists to really safely find new drugs, which offers an opportunity both to the patient and the rest of the world.